Now that I have refined all of my layers down to what I wanted, I have changed their appearance. I've turned all my buildings to red, my parcels to gray. Now I'm actually going to change this. I'm just going to call it parcel and stream. I no longer need or will be needing to use any of these layers, so I'm going to remove all of them except my selected features that I have from the watershed, the parcels, the buildings, and the streams. So I'm going to remove by just right-clicking, clicking remove. This does not delete the data in any way, it just removes it from this map. So if you wanted to add this data, you can then open up your art catalog once again and drag it back into the map if you wanted it back to be used for other analysis. But now I want to make this as lean as possible in order so that way it runs the fastest that it can. So for my next step, I'm going to want to focus on my streams, because for this analysis I'm interested in understanding the location of all the buildings along the stream that are over a culvert, and wanting to see what is actually the land use or the present use of those buildings of that area. And so I'm going to first click on my streams layer and right click and open up the attributes table. So in the attributes table, I'm able to see all of the data that is associated with each feature, to then try to identify any feature class that might offer me insight into which parts of the stream are culverted or open to the air. Because I've know this, the use here represents something in a culvert or something in the open course, or that it's actually you can see it at the ground rather than being in a pipe. And so we are able to actually select based on attributes within our data. With the table open, we can select based on attribute by using this button here, because we can go and search and find what we want, and then we can just simply click this. This will open up the select by features dialog box. Once again, the method at the top will allow us to select by location, change the type of selection which we're doing. And then the next box, these lower boxes will then allow us to define our equation for it then to select. All of this language is based on SQL language, and you can look up online about more detail about how to select and refine selections based on these tools. For our purposes, we want to identify the field in which we want to select from. For our case, it's use, and then we want it to equal one of these values. So we're going to click equal, and with this selected and this selected here, we can then click get unique values for this field. Once I click this, we can now see the options that are available. If we were to have something else selected, it would then give us all those options. So if I were to simply highlight and delete that, I can see that street code has another option here. Stream code, actually, sorry. I can then click equals once again, and then I get all the unique values for that as well. And so this is a real easy way of making sure that your equations are right by using what they give you. So I'm just going to say use equals get unique values, col. Double click it, and that's my final equation. Now I'm just going to hit apply. And what we see immediately is that all of these items become selected, 222 out of 509. I'm now going to close this, and we can see this in our map, that we have now selected all the stream segments that are culverted currently. And so once again, we want to export this data, so I'm going to say data export. Once again, selected features, and then I'm going to call it culvert. Click save. Do you wish to replace this? For myself, I'm going to say yes, and once again I'm going to add this to our map. And so I can then change this color and the weight of this. So I'm going to change it to black, and I'm going to deselect everything. And so that way now we can see the area of our stream that is black, or that is in a culvert currently. And so now I'm going to do another selection, select by location, of the buildings that intersect this culvert. So I'm going to select, go up here to selection, select by location. And once again, I want to select the buildings. And my source layer that I want the relationship to be is culvert. And I want to have them intersect the building. But here, I'm going to say are within a distance of the source layer. So here we can actually enter a distance. So I'm going to say 10 feet because I'm really wanting to potentially bring back that stream where the culvert is. And so I really want a buffer of around 20 feet around these areas. So I want to see what I have to get rid of in order to do this. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to do my analysis, and then it's going to offer me my selection of the buildings. I am now going to, once again, export that data, so that way I'm left with just the buildings over that are associated with that culvert. So I'm going to, once again, right-click, go to Export Data, save once again, Buildings, Culvert. Hit Save, hit OK, hit Yes. So now I can turn off my buildings and I can turn off the culvert and the stream layer. And I'm left now with all the buildings that are within 20 feet of that, of the stream segments that are culverted currently. And now I'm going to also select all the parcels. And one thing to note, so I'm going to deselect everything because I see the stuff is selected. I'm going to come up here, select by location once again, and I'm going to do this and without any of them on to show you that you can also make selections, because say if your computer's running too slow because it's having to render so much stuff or the layer set's so big, you can have it turned off and still do your analysis. So for this, I want parcels that are within, or actually for this, I just want, I guess, yeah, parcels within 20 feet. So we want to make that the same. So I'm going to click OK once again. And without even the layer on, I can right click and I can export that data. I'm going to hit Save, call this Parcel Culvert. Hit Save, hit OK, and yes. And that will add the layer. And now as you can see when I turn it on, automatically that data is there. I can then change its color. So I want to make it light gray, the light gray outline. OK. Then I'm going to turn on my buildings. And then I'm going to make these bright red. And I want these to be over the parcels. And so that way now we can kind of see actually the buildings that are in the way, but also the parcels that are associated with all these different layers. So this really begins to get at what we're looking at and what we're interested in. The next step, we'll begin to explore how to spatially join information between data sets in order to create a different analysis, in order to make our analysis kind of more analytical and more robust.